And then the number five here, and these we touched on, is support. Support is a big one. The value proposition of a franchise is you want that proven system. A system is only good as a support, right? It's not just here's a system, good luck, or here's a video. So the support is going to be crucial, especially if you've never owned a business before. So just reiterating things in the systems like how long it takes to generate a new customer and costs and things like that. And things may not line up initially with a really good franchise. And you're going to hear this in your due diligence, speaking with franchisees and things like this, things like that. You're going to ask about initial support. What is included, including costs to get up and running. Item 7 in the agreement will itemize everything for you. What specifically am I getting for my royalty? Some people will comment, well, 10% seems high, 5% seems high, whatever the percentage is. But the better question is, what am I getting for the royalty? Because if they're handling everything for you, you're saving in other spots. So, for example, we have brands that offer turnkey marketing, and those leads get sent over to a call center. Well, just because of that, you don't need an office, a home office, since it's being done either remotely or at the headquarters of the franchisor. There's turnover. The franchisor is dealing with that. You're paying a flat fee, whether it be monthly fee or per lead. However, I'm going to take a drink here. Franchisor sets it up for you, and that'll vary brand to brand. But you want to know exactly what's included initially to get up and running. How do I get assistance marketing this business to get it up and running, and then what does the ongoing support look like? So, in my case, I had owned some businesses in the past, but didn't really create. One was a side hustle, one was with my family. So I wanted to know, but never really did a P&L. I read a P&L, but to create a P&L and balance sheet and chart of accounts through QuickBooks and all that kind of stuff, I needed some additional support there. And they were great. They took the time to really explain how things work, the cash versus the accrual basis. Like we dove pretty deep, and then partner with an accountant to help me with the process. Had hired a not just a franchise attorney, but a regular attorney to review the correct legal entity and things like that. So the support is going to be crucial because a lot of the franchisors realize, since many people have never owned the business, kind of giving a checklist of things to consider. So if you're leaving your job and you are starting this business full time, where are you getting your health insurance from? Is it a spouse? If you're retaining your job, then you can keep it there and you're running the business part time. But where are you getting health benefits? What about just the insurance of the business? Making sure that you have funds aside so that if the business takes a little bit longer to get up and running, we don't know. Times change, economies up and down, things are cyclical. So you want to make sure to have 6 months living expense. You want to make sure your personal finances are all covered. And with the business, some businesses you'll know ahead of time, businesses that revolve around insurance payment, working with government or municipal contracts may have a 30, 60, 90-day turnaround to get paid. Where's that buffer? Do you have the funds aside? Is that a line of credit you have to get on the home? Sometimes the SBA will offer that. Those are additional items. And then as far as support goes, we've heard things where, and I'm not saying this is for every brand, but weekly calls where in one case, a founder will do a weekly call I believe every Wednesday morning for an hour, and franchisees, whoever's available, they jump on, talk about things. Okay, I'm stuck here. Can I get assistance? What do I do in this case? And they're able to troubleshoot and work with you. Sometimes it's really specific, and some brands will assign you a franchise coach, which is ongoing. They'll travel with you in the field if need be. They'll be your kind of main point of contact for any type of support, issues, questions, advice, things like that. We've seen a trend with franchisors via support offer dashboards. This is pretty cool. Dashboards that will help you compare yourself with other offices, where you're at in revenue for the month or for the year. What's your close ratio on leads, the number of leads received, yeah, things like that. And that way you can figure out and say, okay, we're getting a lot of leads, but our close ratio is really low. I'm going to compare myself to other offices. If I'm on the lower end, we need to figure out if the quality of lead is really poor, or my salesperson needs additional training, or maybe a combination of both. And what's nice is either the franchisor, or depending on, we've seen some brands do this, that you can hook up with that specific office and maybe have your salesperson speak with that salesperson. This kind of combines support and culture, in that franchisees are very open and want to really assist you, because the bigger the brand and everyone's making money and happy, everyone's growing their businesses and contributing more to the bottom line. Support is going to be crucial. They'll outline everything you get. What I always ask from a support standpoint is that when you go to a discovery day, the final stage in the process, ask what additional support items will be created. Are you working on? Is there an initiative to offer, for example, AI technology, where technicians are 24/7 video if they're stuck on a job and not contacting the franchise owner, the general manager, the home office. They have access to a full database based off of pictures, based off of certain keywords, text, video, whatever the inputs are, they're able. So we've heard brands add, not replace, but add AI to the arsenal to support not just the franchisee, but the staff as well. And the franchisees love it because the staff is going to be much more efficient, especially if the franchisees work in the day and the service is being done in the evenings for whatever reason. Maybe it's line striping of parking lots and they're stuck, a piece of equipment isn't working. They can troubleshoot that. So the support is going to be key. It's going to be ongoing, and asking the franchisor person, I always say the captain of the ship, where's this business going? We have one brand we work with in the coatings business. They went from one revenue stream, which was to really restore vinyl siding instead of replacing it, to nine different service options. So, from the franchisee standpoint, they had a franchise with one revenue stream that now has nine, no additional investment, because that's something that's a value add. That's almost everything that we talked about, a combination where, yes, there's going to be some additional training, where there's always going to be somewhat of a cost there, maybe some equipment, but not having to buy another franchise to be able to also restore kitchen cabinets and that kind of deal. So what is the franchisor doing? That same franchisor was also, via their support and marketing efforts, got into some of the larger chains. So now that some of these larger chains, you're the preferred vendor and are receiving lead flow from some of these large retailers across the country. So these are things that it helps when the brands are getting larger, because they have more of a larger footprint. They're able to cover these large retail chains across the country. So the larger the brand, the easier these national accounts you're able to get. So national accounts are great. That falls on their support. That falls on the money and the economies of scale, in that you're able to offer great and competitive pricing and be the preferred vendor for some of these large chains out there. Just to go down the list, we talked about control as one of the main benefits. You have a built-in partner that's aligned with your goals. Money, which we talked about, diversifying income streams, economies of scale, and cutting down on the costs of your marketing, even just the products that you're purchasing, ongoing and initial support, as well as the culture, working with other franchisees, sharing ideas, experiences, partnering up where you can, and potentially having that person be your buyer, and with the added benefit of that culture flowing down to your staff, so that you have a great, just overall, your staff has a great experience. They're getting paid fairly, and there's a career track, basically. These are things to consider with a franchise. Keep in mind, a franchise is still a business. There's a risk with any in business, just like you have with the franchise. The key part of a franchise is you want to find not just, all right, I like this product or service, but you need something that aligns with everything that we talked about in previous episodes. We want to make sure the investments in line, so you're not spread thin. It's located in an area that works for you. You're not commuting 2 hours to get to the location. That's going to be extremely difficult. And it's going to be run based off your skill set. So a good thing to think about are, what are the things you're good at? Not, do I have experience in financial services? Do I have experience in roofing or mosquito spraying? But what is a common theme in those businesses? Are you an extrovert? If not an extrovert, are you a good networker? Some people don't like maybe door to door sales, which would be an extreme, but they're great at networking. So figure out the transferable skill set. And then it's on you to really spend a lot of time on due diligence. Franchisor, and in the first 3 to 4 phone calls, will give you a good understanding of the business, your role, the investment, the potential, helping you with the pro forma or outlining what a pro forma and things to consider. But it's on you to really spend the time speaking with franchisees. You're going to be offered franchisees to speak with. Obviously, no one can make you do it. So it's highly recommended because you want to get feedback, positive and negative. You want to hear the good, the bad, the in between, and really have a good understanding of what that franchise is. Ask them the $1 million question I talked about in the last episode. Knowing what you know now, would you do it all over again? So these are key things that I have everyone. So a franchise is a business on training wheels. It's one of the vehicles where you pay the franchise fee. You could be up and running in 90 days or less. There's clear ways of scalability, whether that be additional territories, complementary brands, brick and mortar. Same. You want to know exactly kind of the areas, if you should invest in those areas or territories sooner than later to lock in that the future expansions, what each location or territory will yield you, what that investment will look like. You want a clear understanding, and then get to meet the founders and CEOs. It's a lot of work. It's going to be a lot of work to get the business up and running. It's not a passive investment, but man, can it be rewarding. I look back at my career, and to be up and running in 30 days and leave my job, in my case, full time. So we were on one income, my wife's income. We were getting health insurance through her employer, but I wanted that business to scale quickly. And because I ran it for full time and my wife was working, I was able to reinvest just about every dollar back into the business the first year. So the first year, growth year, I was open technically open 10 in business 9 months. We did about 750,000 in revenue. So it was a good year. We were profitable the first year. I'm not saying that happens in every business, but with that, I paid myself the bare minimum salary at the time. I forget what that number was, but it wasn't much, but I reinvested all that because I wanted the first year to build the foundation, learn the business. It was a business I was not familiar with. I wanted to find my staff, get marketing in place, get some customers, get feedback from them, and then grew from there. We ended up buying our second territory a year later and then selling the businesses back in 2020. So exit strategy planning, that'll be a whole nother episode in of itself. More than glad to share. And guys, listen, this is some of the great stuff that we talk about on our daily calls. So if you want to bypass and you find value in the podcast, excuse me, give us a book a call. Let me just grab a drink here. Book a call. You can apply to work together. There's 3 questions. Get your information in there, book a call. And we're going to go through all this. So you don't have to remember all this. You can use this podcast as a reference, but we'll go through how to find the right business, who's a good fit for a franchise. We'll break down the importance. Some people, money is not the first thing. It's more time freedom. They want something that is not going to require, even if money is always important, but the time for me was the most important. I wanted to become a coach and not miss the soccer games or the events or what have you. Really figure out what's most important. What are the skill sets? And if you reverse engineer it and look within financials, skill sets, what's important to me, what's my why, what's the ideal business look like, then we go out and look at the brands. And the simple act of one item, I can run the business only part-time the first year, that's going to rule out a ton of franchises. What's available in my specific market, that's also going to rule out, especially if you're in a major market, can rule out a lot of the franchises. It needs to be within this investment. Again, it rules them out. But as you're going through, I always talk about both ends. So if you're leaning towards a service business, but you want to learn the realities of a brick and mortar, we talk about it. And maybe the timing isn't right now, but the goal is to have a home-based service business and a brick and mortar physical location, whether it be standalone or in a shopping center later on. Use me as a resource. And that's part of the service, is that once we work together, there's no cost or fee or contracts. We're paid from the franchise company if you buy the franchise, and we're always with you. So I have people calling me 5, 6 years later. Hey, I had a question here, looking to expand. Not sure if it's going to be a franchise or not. Great. More than happy to help. Or I want to add a franchise. Or is it better to add a new franchise, or should I add territory? Well, there's pros and cons to both. Let's talk it through. Give me a shout. No silly questions. If you just want to go back just to the basics and figure out if a franchise is a good fit for your situation, because everyone's situation is going to be different, more than glad to have that conversation. Please take me up on that offer. You work directly with me. I don't have a team aside from a company that helps you with our marketing and podcasts, you're gonna get me every time. Again, GG the franchise guide. Book a call if you're not ready. Check out the podcast. 200 plus episodes. You can search on any topic. 25 FAQs. That's a great starting point. 1 to 3 minute videos, and I would love to help you in your next step in the journey. So again, appreciate your support. Appreciate the comments.